Okay, I just want to talk about today because I recently read a scripture that was very profound. I mean, all God's word is profound, but at the same time, I just wanted to go into this a little bit more because I started to, but then I kind of got sidetracked. So basically, we're coming from Judges 19, and we're talking about who are you putting your trust in? Okay, this is a story of a Levite, man who dwelt in Bethlehem, Judah. He had a concubine. The concubine was unfaithful to him in some sort of way, whether she committed adultery or whether if she just ran off because maybe she wasn't being treated well, so she just left him and didn't do her duties anymore, with her wifely duties. She could have been unfaithful in many different ways. It says she played the whore, but when I read other other commentaries, it led me to believe that her playing the whore didn't only mean that she was being fast. It could have meant that she was just being unfaithful to him. And the reason why I believe that also is because later down in the scriptures, it shows that maybe she wasn't being a whore and maybe she left because she wasn't being treated in the utmost. So now, basically, the girl goes to her father's house because she was playing the whore, whatever they said. She goes to her father's house to stay with him 4 months. The Levite husband goes to her father's house to fetch after her and speak friendly to her, kindly to her. She allows him to come into her father's house. The father welcomes him, provides for him for several days on end. He has favor with the father. The father really likes him, and to the point that he kept telling him, stay another night, stay another night, stay another night. And he kept feeding him and, just extending good hospitality to him. So then there was one day where the Levite man was just like, look, thank you, pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, but thank you for your kindness, but we're going to leave. And it ended up being that they left not in the morning, but in the afternoon. They ended up staying over because the father was still extending hospitality to them. And then the Levite was just like, we're just going to leave today. And they left kind of late in the afternoon, which led them to be out in the wilderness pretty much, traveling, sojourning at night. And now they go to the servant that was with them traveling. Now, hold on. Before I go into that, the father advises them that day that the man set his heart to leave, and it was kind of late in the day. He said, hey, just stay another night and go in the morning if you want to leave. Go early in the morning because it's best to travel early in the morning. Pretty much, that's what he was saying. But the husband, insisted that he had to leave today, which was late in the afternoon. So now they start traveling. The servant that was traveling with them said, hey, the day is far spent. Let's try to see if we can lodge here for the night in Jerusalem, Jerusalem, whatever. And the husband said, no, because this is a land of the strangers, strangers, they're not of my people. We're going to go to Gibeah where my people are, and we'll find a place. Somebody of my people will let us stay there. They get to Gibeah, nobody from his people, as he said, the children of Israel, nobody of the children of Israel let him dwell with them and lodge for the night. So they ended up standing in the center of the community, whatever, in the street. And then an old man coming in from work, who coincidentally was from the same place, Ephraim, where he was, but he was dwelling in the land of Gibeah among Benjamites. So he was, he was basically the same from the same place, not the whole same situation, but the same place from where the husband was, and he was just dwelling amongst the Benjamites. So, it's funny that the man from the same place that he was is the only person who extended his hand to him. So that just shows, the difference between the tribes. And it also I feel like God is also trying to point out something here. I don't know exactly what it is, but anyways, so he was the only person that let them dwell. A man from the same area that he was from was the only place that let him dwell when they arrived in Gibeah. Okay, so now they're in Gibeah. Some perverted men knock at the door and say, "Let me have your guest. So that I may know him." Basically, some perverted homosexuals saw that he brought a guest into his house, and they wanted to have sex with him. The men of Gibeah wanted to have sex with the guest, the husband, the man. And so now the old man offers his daughter and says, "Please don't defile this man, but here's my daughter." And then the husband says, "Oh, here's my concubine." Which is like, y'all not gonna put up a fight, y'all not gonna you gonna give your daughter up for a stranger, and I'm not even really trying to go into all of that, because there could have been reason behind. I mean, of course, it would have had more effect on his manhood than a man sleeping with a woman, But at the same time, you're gonna give your child up to these strangers who are perverted, who seem like they are thirst. They have no type of sense of care or moral, that they want to just come knock on your door to have sex with your man guest. You know what I mean? You're gonna give your daughter to somebody like that. So, and you never know what people do in certain situations. So I'm not judging them. At the same time, when we look at this story, and that's why I said, she played the whore. And then I read on to other people's commentaries, like the whore could have just meant that she was unfaithful in some kind of way. And I would be unfaithful too. if why am I saying like that? What I'm trying to say is, this man was willing to give her up for some strangers who were savages, pretty much. He and the other man was willing to give his daughter up for the stranger. So it's like, and then in the beginning it says there was no king in Israel. This shows with how the people were making decisions, because if there was a king in Israel, if there was some type of rule, and I think it also referred to God, meaning that the people were just doing what they wanted to do. This place was like a place of Sodom and Gomorrah. This place was a place where there was no true judgment. There was no one seeking after the will of God. There's no one that was after God's own heart. And there was no one being led by God. Maybe they had forsaken God. Gibeah, I remember reading also something that Gibeah was a place where that they referred to as a bad place, like a bad time in the Bible, where things were all crazy and nobody was seeking God or something. I forgot. I read up on it. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, the decisions that they made, it correlates with why there's a point in the beginning that says there was no, and at this time, there was no king in Israel. They didn't just put that there. The author didn't just put that there for no reason. There's a reason why they put that there. Because if there was if there were people seeking after God, and if there were, because God is a king, or if there was an actual physical king, people would have made better decisions back then. Hence, the decision that they both made to give their daughter and their wife concubine away, two strange men, savages. And a concubine is less than a wife, but if he came to seek her, he obviously didn't necessarily so much feel that. But obviously in his actions, it showed that his feelings towards her. It showed that he was willing to throw her under the bus for his sake. And like I said, they didn't even take a thought of it. They wasn't even trying to put up a fight or nothing. Like, this was the same, sort of like the same situation in Sodom and Gomorrah, where men came knocking at the door, and God sent his angels to deliver Lot. This sounds like the same sort of situation, because the men that was knocking at the door were perverts, and they wanted to have Lot. So this is very similar. So basically what I'm trying to say is, I feel like Lot gave more thought to what he was going to do. I mean, I don't think he was amongst females in the house, but still, like, I'm not trying to compare the two, but the men didn't even really give a thought to what they were going to do. They didn't, I mean, maybe they was just like, hey, this is it. We got to make a decision now because, But, I'm trying to get to the point. Or I'm getting to the point. I'm not trying. I'm getting to the point. So, this story is just so profound. Like, it blows my mind. And like I said, I'm not judging the men of the Bible. I'm not judging what they did. But, because we know, nobody knows what you're going to do when you're in a situation like that. We could say we're going to do this, we could say we're going to do that. At the same time, I would hope that the men, any husband that I deal with ain't going to give me up. And I would hope that I wouldn't give anybody up. I hope that I would give myself before I give anybody that I cared for up. I would hope that I had the courage enough, So anyways, these men gave their daughter and their concubine, but I think they just took the concubine even though the man offered his daughter. So that's pretty much what happened. Then the men, had the concubine all night, just being savages on her, like, raping her, raping her all night, against her will. But of course her husband gave her away to them, so, what could she do? I mean, she could have tried to run, but if you got 10 men at your door, where you running to? So she pretty much ain't have no choice. Well, everybody has a choice, so I don't want to say that. Everybody got a choice. So maybe she did fight back. I don't know. But all I'm saying is the person that was over her, her husband, her head, made the decision to give her to these savages instead of himself, or instead of fighting back. So now they had her all night, sexing her and all of this other stuff. And then finally, when they were done with pleasing themselves on her, they sent her off. And now she comes to the door basically scrambling. Like, she was abused all night sexually. So she came by like 10 men. So she came to the door, and like, she basically dragged herself there to the door. She didn't even have the strength to knock on the door to try to get into the house. She fell at the door. Then in the morning, the husband gets up and he's like, all right, get up. Let's be on our way. What? Not, oh my God, what's wrong with you, honey? Are you okay? Even though he should know what's wrong with her because of the fact that she was raped all night. You gave her away to 10 men. Do you think that she was going to be okay in the morning? So apparently she doesn't rise. She was dead. She ended up dying at the door. So basically, the point is, who are you putting your trust in? You know, this man, she obviously ran away from him the first time because obviously he wasn't a good husband. Because the fact that in towards the end of the story, he gives her away to 10 men to rape her and then kill her. Well, this goes back to the fact there was no king in Israel, no ruler, no judge. So people was just doing dumb stuff, apparently. So when he came back to get her, she let him in her father's house. So she obviously had a heart for him. She obviously trusted him in some capacity. But maybe she probably did love him. But she knew that she was being treated wrongly. So that's why she ran away. But now he came to fetch after her, so she gives him a second chance. Which, again, this shows that who are you putting your trust in? Because maybe she shouldn't have given him a second chance. Because she could have lived. You understand? Hadn't she given him a second chance, she could have lived. And her father, again, who are you putting your trust in? Allow his daughter to go with this man who, yeah, he was her husband, but the father pretty much obviously gave consent to them marrying previously. And now when he sees him, he meets him, I don't know if they met previously, but he obviously had a lot of good heart towards him and favor towards him. So he was favoring a man who was willing to give up his daughter to 10 men savages. You get what I'm saying? So that goes again, who are you putting your trust in? So who is she putting her trust in by taking him back? And who is the father putting his trust in by showing favor